freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free.
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
And welcome everybody to our Daily Gun Show. We come to you live every weeknight and talk about guns for an hour. And Gary's jumping in from Kansas. Thanks for joining.
Thanks for the invite.
You awake? Sounds like you're sleeping.
Yeah, I'm awake. Can you hear me?
Okay, there we go. And then we got Clover jumping in from Texas. Thanks for joining.
Hey, what's up?
All right. So, yeah, we had a little weirdness. I had started a bunch of, I try to do the chats when I can, a couple of days ahead, because I do them daily, right? So the more I can make ahead of time, it just gives me something to put content into and, you know, I don't know, just a way to, you know, organize the show. I've been doing it for a while, so it's one of the ways I did it. And I've been trying to use the new stupid YouTube. You know, you try to use the new systems when they're there, you know, not just hate everything that new that comes along. And I had set up the last couple of, I guess today and the next couple of days worth of shows, kind of just starting them up in that new system, getting the hang of it. And when I went to start one today, there was no way to start it. So I freaked out. I thought that YouTube had changed because we had been talking about changing Hangouts, and they don't make a big do when they do change things. So I just figured out that's, you know, buttons are different now. They changed their system. So anyway, Clover came on and we poked around a little bit, figured out it was because we had initiated those, or I initiated those chats in the new system. So FYI, don't do that. Flip over to the classic style and initiate your chats over there, and then they are still normal. We still got the buttons, and of course we're doing the show right now. So thanks for the help, Clover.
Yeah.
So got a bunch of people joining us on the big platform out there, and you're welcome to join us in the chat on the Gun Channel side. We send out links. So this show is designed to be a conversation about guns, ideally not following the trends of whatever the current agenda-based media is trying to push out there, or whatever the bullet points are or the focus. I think we've done a pretty decent job as a whole. Maybe I was sick the other day, and maybe I'm just not paying attention, but as far as this last situation, are we seeing a big or as much, or, you know, we're not talking about the situation, but about its ripples in the news and in the conversations? Has there been as much as you'd expect, more or less? Like, is it a bigger splash than you'd expect? Just kind of what you'd expect with the way things are going, or a little bit less than you would have thought?
Yeah, I think it's less than the trend.
Not what I'd expect, really.
Well, I think it's a little less, maybe, than what the trend has been lately.
Now, what'd you say, Gary?
I said about what I would expect.
Okay. I mean, that's perception, right? I mean, we're all seeing our finger on our pulse differently, and, you know, whatever. I just haven't seen it saturated, I guess. But like I said, I haven't had my ear to the ground either.
Yep.
No, I thought I was canceling it because I sat here for half an hour trying to figure out how to get it launched. I was just explaining that. So this is the new version. We had canceled the Daily Gun Show completely. I sent out emails saying no more Daily Gun Show. And now this is the new version of the Daily Gun Show. It's a new theme, whole new. Right. We're pivoting. We're going to focus on drinks that have carbonation, right? Only no non-carbonated drinks. And then I'm thinking instead of the high-end toothpaste, maybe 1990s era video cassette rental stores. So that's what we're going to focus on. Very vintage, Tail of the Dragon stuff, but it'll be big money, I think, in the long run.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely. Might have to throw some laser discs in there with it.
Interesting. Yeah. Are we starting over at number one again, or?
No, I'm gonna stick with 778 just for the money.
Well, we're going backwards,
Well,
right?
yeah, it sounds better.
Oh
Isn't
shit! I
that-
should go backwards every once in a while, just to piss off the little shows. I should go backwards by 100 and then go forward again and still be ahead of a bunch of them.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Every so many shows, I just go backwards by 100. I actually have, kind of, because there's been chunks where we missed when I'm on the road and stuff. When Bob was around, and then wow, we had a real cast for a while. We had like Jimmy, and Smeggy would occasionally run a show, but Jimmy, holy shit, he would run the shows while I was on the road and while Bob was on the road. So, those were nonstop consecutive shows. But there was some times when I've been on the road where we missed shows. So,
Right.
let's see. Did I have to hit it with a hammer? No, we just basically couldn't figure out why the hell the buttons had changed. It changed from the start hangout, like the button that normally is the key to launch the thing. That was just a carbon copy button. It turned into a carbon copy. Oh, are you not hearing Clover? Clover, say like 1, 2, 3, and let's see if Gary hears you say that.
1, 2, 3.
I can't hear a thing.
Okay, Yankee was having that also. That's why you guys were talking over each other before. So I would say, Gary, try jumping back in, and then we'll see if it works the other way.
Okay.
When Yankee was jumping into Matt's chat, he was only hearing the people that were there before him. Anybody that joined in after. And that was a situation a long time ago. We had that situation for like a week where whoever jumped in after. And then it was really weird for a one time. It was like it seemed like a long time. Maybe it was days, but when you chat every day, it could seem like a long time when it's just days. But there was a time when if someone would mute, there was all kinds of weird after effects in the chat. Like certain people, you mute and it sort of toggled everybody's mute on and off. It was really weird.
Yeah. Well, they said they heard me in the chat. So.
Oh no, everybody can hear. It's just that Gary couldn't hear you talking. So now, Clover, you say like 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3.
I'm guessing Gary heard that.
No, sir, I can't hear him at all.
Oh,
Wow.
Clover can hear Gary. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Weird.
That's bizarre.
So,
What if I come back in?
let's try that. So now Clover's going to jump out, Gary, and see if that helps.
Did you put a link on gun channels?
Just hit refresh. F5 will bounce right back in.
Oh,
But yeah,
will
I'll
it?
give you a link on gun channels. Yeah. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
closed my
I would
browser.
use F5. F5 is a refresh your browser, and that works pretty good. For
I closed my browser entirely and jumped back in when I did it.
Okay.
There you go. Well, okay. So Gary, you hear him?
Nope.
Interesting.
Wow.
Well, Yankee kept jumping in and out, and he was over talking everybody, and so I'm guessing he had that situation for a while because he kept jumping in and out. He doesn't normally have bad connection issues,
Uh-huh.
Can Clover hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, Clover can hear you, Gary.
Huh.
Now you guys can both side chat, right?
Yeah.
That's weird. Maybe I don't think it has. Maybe I'll refresh. I'll be right back.
Yeah, may just be something with the room. Who knows? I know right now I'm talking and Gizzard's still showing up.
It's in YouTube for them, so that didn't help. I'm assuming because I don't know why that would.
No, I don't think it would. What's weird is when I talk, it's not showing up on the screen.
Yeah, see, it's showing up for me now. Gizzard, when he just talked, it didn't flash over to Clover even.
Hell, he may not can hear you now.
He's muted, so he might just be muted. And I'll see what Honda can hear.
I can hear you so far.
Did you guys hear Honda?
I did, yes.
Okay. Gary's muted, so he might be trying something.
Well,
I can't hear anybody now.
I can hear
Oh,
everybody. You like my new E-Honda picture?
No.
I don't know. I was trying to find something ridiculous today.
You won.
So we had a chat with Cheryl earlier. Anybody get a chance to hear that?
No.
Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it.
I had parent-teacher conferences and the doctor today, so I've been running around all day till just now.
Right on. So the audience is saying that they could hear Gary before, and I could hear Gary, but I guess he couldn't hear us, and now he's back, and he's muted.
Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3.
Yep,
I can
we
hear
hear
you.
that. You don't hear us though?
Yes, I do.
Okay, good. You hear
What about-
Clover?
Yeah, what about me?
Yeah, I hear you, Clover.
Hey, we're all back together.
It's still not flashing me up on the screen though.
It is for me though. So
Yeah,
I'm,
it's here.
Okay.
Is it 3 for 3 there, Gizzard?
Yes, sir.
Yay.
We're good.
right. Woo!
all right. So talking about the second half of a long interview with Cheryl, I guess that's a couple of 2 hours maybe altogether. Cheryl, if you hadn't listened, was a Second Amendment activist advocate here in Arizona. So Gary, did you have a chance to listen to that at all?
I caught part of it. Yeah.
I was just going to say I'd like to just dig into that a bit from whatever you guys pull from it, just to give it a bit more coverage, and we don't have to harp on it, but just to give it an opportunity to chat about it a bit, if there's anything worth gleaming from it.
Well, I know there toward the end, it was crazy. I mean, she could go for another 2 hours on a lot of what she was talking about. So, kind of
why-
sucked.
well-
You had to cut it,
Yeah, and that's why it was neat to, because she's super busy, obviously, being a grandma and a mom, and everything she does for her businesses, 3 of them, and Second Amendment stuff. And then she's just a nice lady. She's like,
Right.
not like a robot. She's actually got time to care about what people are doing and pay attention to stuff and does things. So, and then all those organizations she's part of. So, having her for an amount of time is cool, but also because I'm so used to hearing her on the 2-hour show where, so a 2-hour show with like 8 guests, you're saying, hello, here's a plug, here's the thing, intro, and now you shut up and you let the other person talk. And maybe you get a little bit of insight to the hosts, right, from the back and forth.
Right.
But I figured it'd be neat to see or get to hear and experience Cheryl for just an hour and not like, you're here to talk about XYZ, so here's 5 or 10 minutes. So anyway, yeah, that's what I think was just neat to see. Or because I didn't think she would attack the NRA one. I think she did that one pretty good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one thing that she brought up when she was talking about, the youth. She was talking about reaching the youths, and then she had mentioned civics, and something that I've been saying for a while, and I don't know how to push that narrative or try to get anything rolling necessarily, but is these other 2A or the NRA does a pretty great job at that. They really do. Not the civics aspect of it, but the youth aspect of it. And I think as we're looking at the NRA and a lot of people want to tear it completely down, and then other people say no, and you just need to we need another revolution somehow, some way, and everybody's got their own approach to it, of course. But either way, if we're not monetarily supporting the NRA in at least a way that keeps those youth programs and stuff working, then we're undermining what she's talking about with reaching out to the youth, because the ILA has been starving those programs for years, and with lack of funding, they would starve them even further. So something that I've thought about is, why does these other 2A organizations not take up some sort of a banner? I mean, there's tons of people that are experienced with youth outreach and youth shooting sports across the country that could help. And why don't they join together, band together with some of these other organizations or whatever they've got to do to start their own program? And then within that own program, that's what's cool about when you get these youth organizations going, is the activity, which would be shooting sports, of course, would be a draw. But when you draw them in, the actual program is always about youth development. So it's about a much bigger thing than just shooting sports. So you've got an opportunity there to not only work on Second Amendment related stuff, but civics as well. And I was back and forth in that chat with someone, and they were like, yeah, there's no way. I mean, it's not PC. You can't make that happen. Well, shooting sports is not PC, but yet, we see high schools and new county programs and all kinds of things popping up all the time with that. So, and if you look at, it's not a classroom, doesn't have to be a classroom type environment, because the basics of civics work with any organization or club that you would have. Let's say, whoever. I mean, pick your 2A organization, and they offshoot these small groups. Well, that small group, it needs a president and a vice president and a secretary and whatever of that particular club. And there's parliamentary procedure involved. There's elections that's involved. There's making agendas. There's making motions and seconding motions and voting and all kinds of things involved, which is the civic process. So there's plenty of opportunity through other aspects of those clubs and or offshoot organizations to actually teach our kids civics. And I guess I put everybody to sleep. I apologize.
No,
that was really good.
I was just, as you were talking, going in a show that you can, I don't like YouTube that much for their policies and what they're doing to the apathy out there. I think they're helping apathy, but whatever. They offer some awesome software, some awesome features, and some awesome services here. And this new way that they've got the playback going, so you can basically just jump around the chat on its timeline down here, and then it's going to give you the appropriate portion of the text chat. So when we say, hey, we're trying to do an effort here in new media, we're trying to make people understand that you're using the internet. You're not just watching the internet like you did with television or listening with radio. So as the people are chatting out there and you're referencing a conversation in the chat, it's there. And until YouTube shuts down, it's there. So I think that's just kind of neat. So I was just kind of jumping around trying to find it where that piece of the conversation was, and I was being impressed by the amount of on topic conversation that was going on in that chat. Really cool. Or at least might not have been 100% on topic of what we were talking about, but there was actually, I think, good conversation going on, right?
Yeah, it was pretty close. I mean, some of it was laggy. You know what I mean? I mean, there was people that was talking about topics that maybe was brought up 30 minutes prior. But, that's going to happen, and that's fine. That's fine to keep, the first topic of the night in a show. If people are still talking about that topic by the end of the show, that's okay, too.
I don't know what happened. I flipped it to live, and it disappeared. So I guess you can only watch top after. Or it just disappears because it's being weird.
No, top chats, the way it works is only things that pertain to you. So if someone tags you a question or something, or if you write something, then the top chats will show that, versus the live chats will show what's going on as it comes out. At least
it shows both. I just had to refresh. When I flipped it over in the replay here, it looked like the live disappeared. I think it was just a glitch in the system.
Yeah, it does weird things in replay sometimes. Because I've went and watched my own chats. Caught up with things too.
Yeah, I wish I would have watched what you guys are talking about right now. Maybe I could add more. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries. I don't know if Gary wanted to throw anything else in there, or if Clover had any other pieces. I mean, we talked for an hour. I tried to ask her about some of the whys she does what she does, because I think she's definitely coming at it from a different angle, and she's willing to express her position and her whatever drive. And unapologetically, which is nice, because a lot of times people feel like they've got just play so vanilla middle of the road that it doesn't give us any nuance or whatever. Anyway, and then she's certainly nice about it. She doesn't try to shove nothing down anybody's throat about it. So anyway, just her why I figured would be interesting. And then I kept bugging her off air to talk about the hows, because I really do want others to be inspired. I mean, she's a grandma and a mom, and again, she's just kicking butt. So how is she able to do that? With a phone and with a Mac laptop, it sounds like, and then with the help of some support. So we got gun channels, and we've got the 2A workshop. We got Every Second Matters. Clover does a show every single Thursday after weekend, or what am I saying, Thursday afternoon or an evening. So there's plenty of support. There's stuff out there besides us. Certainly, there's tons of tutorials and other communities out there, YouTube comments and forums. So there's plenty of resources, and hopefully people got some of that from her.
Well, I only caught the last half of the chat tonight, but I have a few times listened to Gun Freedom Radio, especially in the evenings. And I'll say you won't see a show that is presented in a more civilized manner than that one. I mean, you won't hear people going into loud rants and stuff like that. It's presented logically and diplomatically. Very easy, easy to listen to. You're not going to get any, like I say, you don't get the wild opinions and stuff like that on that show. But it's a good program.
Another thing you were, when you're talking about, the platforms, the facilitation, the house. One thing she was talking about when she was talking about the tech, and she was like, it's crazy, you can do all of this stuff on your cell phone. And, even if you just do a video a week and upload it, you're still a part of the fight, and I love that. I love how she was all inclusive with everybody. It really doesn't matter if you're at the forefront or, you're just doing things every now and then. She still considers you, a part of the team, right? Not just a person in the bleachers, which is cool. And, it was also when she was talking about the phone, she was like, we can do now, with the phone, and used to it would take a computer and a separate microphone and a webcam. And, my thought when she said that was, what are you talking about? At one time, it took an entire filming crew. You had an audio guy with this big, huge thing he toted around, and a camera guy with a big, huge thing he toted around, and a lighting guy with, or multiple lighting guys, right?
Multiple lights, because you'd have to set up ahead of time. You'd have multiple crews for multiple shoots, right? Because otherwise it would take you 3 days.
Yeah.
Then that means you got a vehicle and then support crew, and somebody's feeding everybody by that time.
Yeah, you literally had a van load of equipment, at one time, and we can do it all now from a cell phone. So and reach more people better and reach more people. Yeah,
and the environment isn't where they put all that effort and cost because they were 1 of 4 or 3, depending on what year you slice out, right? 12 a dozen, but now it's so many that there's no sure leaders, that you're just doing it futilely. And I don't know. I keep saying it, but I can't see a future where we go back to 3 networks. I can't see a future where we all say, we're all good with Google. We don't really need choice. Google's fine. We're going to figure out that Google's a pain in the butt, Facebook's a pain in the butt, YouTube are a pain in the butt. We'll have 6 different things that work them, and we'll be used to using, we already are used to using dozens of apps. Can you remember, it just makes me think about computers. When you first got a computer, you'd literally buy a computer, it ran one thing at a time, one software at a time. And then you'd buy a couple of softwares, you'd have them on the shelf, you'd uninstall one and you'd install the new one. You'd run it for a while, maybe it was a game, maybe it was some booking, book software or whatever it was, and then you'd uninstall it, remember? And then you get to where your computer can hold a couple. You bought a hard drive after a while. Now people are running around, old people running around with phones with apps, and they don't even think about that they're running a dozen apps that somehow sometimes intermingle, sometimes don't, do things that Dick Tracy didn't even think about.
Right.
And we suggest that in the future we're not going to be able to keep track of more than one YouTube. Please.
Right.
Yeah. Well, it's a really good point that everyone on here, everyone watching has the technology on them, whether it be their computer or their cell phone or whatever it is, to make a video or capture something or show some news or talk about what matters to them and get it out to an audience. And that's something that has never been an option for the viewer. For the average person, And that's a huge change. Not to mention the fact that the Gutenberg press didn't make as much of an impact as the internet will when all is said and done, I believe.
But we're talking about that significant pivot, right? We're talking, I think it's a significant pivot when we've got the information age and then the computer age. Is that how the order they went in? And then the internet age?
Well, there was the
age and age.
The printing press was really the first, though, right? The Gutenberg press, back when, before every book had to be handwritten one by one, which is why the only books that were really written were Bible, pretty much.
So let me ask you this question. I don't disagree, but I'm going to ask you this question just because I remember a show about this. Was it the paper or was it the press? Which came first?
Paper came first.
Yeah, I think it was the paper, actually, if you could say, because then they could actually make books or whatever. But anyway, yeah, I hear what you're saying. It was the beginning of the ability for someone to actually add their
Well, and then
conversation.
Not to mention the fact that back then, what percentage of the population do you think was able to read? Maybe, let's be generous and say 10%, right?
Oh, no, back then it was supposedly just the the clergy, period, right? And they would tell everybody everything.
Right. But I'm saying, like, after the printing press came out and they actually started having like non-biblical literature being circulated, the number of people who could read it were few. And of the people,
educated people.
And of the people who could read, the ones who could read well enough to actually understand it were even fewer than that. Think about how many people can absorb information through listening versus how many have to do it through reading. Put that to today, like the paper. You know, if everyone had to get their information from the newspaper, there'd be a lot more uninformed people. Myself included. I read just fine, but I don't read as quickly or retain the information as well as I do as if I hear it. You know, I'm an auditory learner.
All right, where are we going with that one?
I'm just saying that that the advent of technology today can be used by us in our own community as gun members a lot more easily and a lot more effectively than at any other time in history. And us not doing it,
oh yeah,
is laziness, and it's short-sighted.
Yes, perfect word.
Yep. So
because it's an intentional act. If you're not being part of the conversation now, then literally, I mean, unless you really think that, I mean, I guess there's some way of thinking. Maybe if you're not, maybe we pay too much attention to this stuff and we see the trends and we can't assume that it would stop, you know, that the curves are going to keep going. And then it's just we're looking at where in the sky the curve is going to go, and other people are looking at it as a straight ramp or something, maybe, so they can only see a couple options that are obvious in front. But again, I can't see where, you know, looking at the broad spectrums, that we're going to go down back to an NBC and a CBS, right? We're not going backwards to where fewer and fewer options. People are going to get more and more familiar with the new options. So yeah, like, not only do we have this ability to put our voice out there, but it's at a time when little kids coming online, they don't even know what it's like to have one television station to listen to at a time, or whatever, watch at a time. They don't know what it's like to have two options for cartoons on a Saturday, and that was it. Like, they don't live in that world. They don't live anything near that. So to think that they can't handle hearing a whole bunch of voices and be able to put that together and go find those voices without it being filtered, you think that they're going to be gullible to what Google is doing? We're just, I think, older generations, the generations that are sucked into Google and Facebook now, are because we're so used to the old-fashioned stuff. Like, the kids gotta rebel. I mean, that's what kids do, is rebel against establishment, right? They're gonna lash out, and they're gonna figure out how to do it effectively against Google and their stupid Facebook tracking. No?
Well, yeah, they've already that's been proven. I mean, look at Facebook. What's MySpace, right? What's MySpace? What's AOL? What are those things? Yahoo Chat? What is Yahoo Chat? You know, yeah, things have come along, and the early adopters are typically younger generations, and that's going to continue to happen.
And they're going to use the technology in ways that we haven't even thought yet, and I think that's the thing to pay attention to. You know, like the trendy things coming up are going to develop and become an art of their own. You know.
Yeah.
So we're talking about a bunch of different things, and I just got done. I've got the Amazon Prime right now, and I've got it till for like another week or something. So I've been watching movies on there, and I like I guess they're documentaries. They're sort of like TED Talks-ish type of things. They're one step between TED Talks and like a YouTube video, and they're on Amazon. So anyway, I've been watching a bunch of robot ones and AI ones, and the AI one had to do with careers and what percent of a career is going to be replaced by AI as AI establishes itself. And it's definitely establishing itself. It's not like the future anymore. We live with AI all over the place. So as it continues to grow and we build computers that can deal with it, and I used to think there needed to be this like next level where we got to computers that could handle it. I was wrong. There's computers that can definitely handle massive AIs already, and they're doing interesting stuff. So to explain what I'm getting at, what's it called? A paralegal, I guess. I don't know nothing about this other than what they showed on this show. I get the impression that a paralegal is some kind of baby lawyer, and their job is to do like the research for real lawyers, and that's how they get their wings or whatever. And they do a lot of grunt work in those big stacks of books that lawyers always have in their offices, right? So we're doing XYZ. These are all the things that might apply. Go find them, right? And that's what paralegals do. They go find it, bring that all to the lawyer, something like that. And if I'm wrong, who cares? Because that's basically what the summary of what matters here. So jobs like that are tasked with doing something specific, specialized, technical, detailed, and labor intensive, AI can just do in like moments. So they were able to do some stuff that would take, they just showed the person and the AI, and the AI just does it. It's like Google. It's like, what's this? Well, here's the whole internet and here's the answer, except with a lot more insight than that. And of course can be verified, but basically if you can remove 18 hours worth of work and just verify the results in 5 minutes, then you've removed that person's need to be in the law office. So you save money, and now that person doesn't need a job. So with that in mind, kids that are looking at the world now are not going to be afraid of AI. They're going to be familiar with it, and all this. And I keep talking about how we value what we're creating. The stuff that we put out there is going to be read by AIs by the volumes, right? It's going to be able to sweep over our section of the internet and incorporate everything that we've created, all the stuff that we've added, incorporate that and give that result to that kid in the future who's interfacing with that AI. Am I incorrect?
No, you're not incorrect. But it's a scary proposition where it's going, though, because
it's not scary. It's just the next evolution. I mean, we had the libraries, and then we made a Dewey Decimal System for them, so it was easier than trying to read every book and memorize where they were.
I think it gets scary when at the pace. I think the pace a lot of times is what scares people, and you attribute the pace directly to technology, because technology breeds better technology, right? As you advance in technology, then you advance ways to make things better, so you can build upon past technology. It's a really weird thing, and that's why I mean, think about how far we've come simply since there was the first cell phone, right? Think about how far we come, let alone the internet. I mean, good Lord. I mean, as far as mass people, the World Wide Web is concerned, we're what, 20 years in? Not even, or pretty close to the little bit more, I guess, than 20 years into the actual World Wide Web. And I mean, look how
the internet, just the birthday of the internet was just the other day. 30 years.
Yeah,
just the other day, HTTP protocol or something, the internet.
Yeah, the actual World Wide Web. Yeah.
Oh, no, you know what it was? It was the beginning of the guy who first scratched it out on paper and sold it to the first guy who figured it out for the army or whatever. So maybe not the actual internet you're talking about, but like the beginning of the networking, blah, 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 started.
The internet being created, and then the actual, what we know to now to be, back then, I think they referred to it as the World Wide Web, but is kind of two different things. But yeah, I mean, just what I'm saying, 25 years, maybe 25 years. And I mean, look how we've gone from dial up to high speed. We've gone from, barely being able to send text back and forth to we can chat live to it's amazing, the leap in technology.
Well, I was reading that like knowledge, like complete total human knowledge traditionally has doubled every 50 or 100 years it would take to double. So it was pretty linear for our entire evolution up until, the Middle Ages, where it started being like every 20 years because people were writing and reading and doing a lot more. And then up until the 1920s, like the Industrial Revolution, I guess before then, but around that era, it was every 10 years. And now it's every 12 months. We double the amount of information that we have to access as humans, and they're saying that it will eventually be every 12 hours. So it's a parabolic line, right? Like it starts out flat, and then it starts curving up and up and up, and then pretty soon it's going straight up.
Mm-hmm. Well, perceivably, but yeah, stand far enough back, it's still going. But yeah, that's they're pretty far along that too. I always thought that was like into the future, but they're well into that.
Yeah.
Got most of the books on the earth have been scanned and are in the AIs. Most of the books on the earth. And that includes like this monastery in like, I don't know where it was, Sweden or Italy or someplace up on top of a mountain.
Oh, yeah.
Literally scrolls and stuff. Like that was some of the first stuff Google went after was the the libraries of the monasteries and things, because they want in the old colleges, what do you call them, universities, they wanted that like ancient knowledge. They said like that's the most valuable. It's been kept over the years, and it was the most difficult to write down at the time. So yeah, they started with like all that. Pretty interesting. And the AIs are combing through it all. It already exists. It's content.
Well, I was saying that it was scary, right? And here's why. It's not that like I think there's some Terminator 2 Judgment Day computers taking over type thing coming. It's that the rapid overtake, like you were saying, of this technology and the advent of it taking jobs from people who traditionally have always had a job, like accountants or paralegals or drivers of anything, buses, trucks, vehicles, all of them are gone, right? And how many people have jobs doing that? And and it's the transition from that economy from the one that we're at right now, right? Like, what happens to all those people? How do we incorporate them into a useful part of society? And I believe that eventually we will find an equilibrium there, somehow, maybe we only work like 4 hours a day or something like that. We're all like waiters or something the robots suck at. I don't know, but
well, there'll still be. I was watching a thing about the trucking industry, and they were talking about how there'll still be a need. I think G-Web's alluded to this, but in a lot of situations, there'll still be a need for truck drivers, and that with any type of AI vehicle or anything like that, you've still got maintenance and things like that have to be kept up, not only kept up with, but performed. There's still aspects. And I think that,
well, there's already,
it's no different than the world we live in today. 20, well, what, more than that now, 30 years ago, I guess, or so now. No, yeah. Well, we're going to say 30 for the sake of me not doing math. But, I was a freaking mechanic, and a computer was used to literally to align the front end of a car. And then I went from that into the whole information age IT world, because it got to where I was working on the actual alignment machines themselves. So that was a skill. And it was like, why am I working on these nasty, greasy, stupid cars when I can be working on computers, which is basically what this alignment machine is, and I don't got to be in a hot shop or a cold shop or get dirty and greasy and stinky, right? And make just as much, if not more money. So I get where people get kind of antsy about technology taking over, but in most of your, if it's not like a menial service job, like let's say, the $15 an hour thing at McDonald's, right? They've already got kiosks. How difficult would it be to have like 2 people on staff at any given time there? One to stock supplies, the other one to basically maintain the equipment. And then outside of that, everything else be robot and computerized. It could be done very, very easily. But then again, you're talking about, with the exception of maybe the managers there, you're talking about menial labor at that point.
Right. But here's the thing, right? Like if you are a young man trying to come up, you're 16 years old, you need a first job. You go to McDonald's. Oh, we don't hire people. We have the 2 people that we need and robots. Good day to you. So where do you go?
Find somebody that works on robots and become his apprentice.
Well, but then here's the other part, right? Like $15 an hour is a lot of money for an employer. Plus they have to pay insurance and all these other things that go along with having an employee.
Well,
it's a lot cheaper it makes it a lot cheaper at that point to have a robot, right? Even if you have to develop one to do whatever job it is, like a roofer or something, you could have some kind of a robot that's a roofer and replaces all the roofing jobs, or, you name it, like they can figure it out. It's a matter of the cost benefit analysis of that mathematic, right? Of which is cheaper to do, paying people or paying a robot. And when you keep stacking money on top of the people, you make it way down, and they say, okay, we'll do the robot then.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't taking that in a political direction either. I was just using that I was just using that to, to get my point across that, you know, there's jobs regardless. I mean, there's gonna be people that have to work on the robots and work on the machinery and work on the digital menus, and you know, there's going to be people, at least to a certain extent. Now, as technology moves forward, it's like I said, technology breeds technology. So you get into that whole Skynet thing where you got computers working on computers and computers programming computers and things like that. Then, I mean, jobs start dwindling at that point.
Well, I mean, and the whole Skynet thing isn't beyond the realm of possibility. I'm not saying that, like, I'm planning on computers taking over anything, but fast forward the clock 500 years, if there's, you know, little Wall-E robots running around instead of people, I might not be surprised.
So I'm going to look at it from the same way we've kind of, or at least a similar way to what we've been talking about with our consumption of content, or our consumption of a conversation, an ongoing conversation, and the number of players in that conversation, and our ability to track and keep it all together. Why wouldn't it be the same thing with jobs? If we come from a time when, you know, we had factory jobs that supported a bunch of people doing monotonous, repetitive stuff that have now been replaced by robots, what's to say those human beings that were in there didn't want to be artists or nurses or childcare or elder care or research or minstrels or podcasters, right? And if you replace a bunch of jobs that hurt people by bending over all the time or doing dangerous things or being in environments that are noxious, all you do is you bring a lot of healthcare stuff off of the plate. And the things that we have now as social ills are why? Because people don't have time, which is, you know, money is time. They don't have time to do stuff. So if people aren't, if you like, you use the example of a McDonald's. I don't give a shit if a McDonald's robot makes a hamburger or not. You certainly can suggest that a 16-year-old is somehow really concerned about your freaking piece of frozen meat going on the grill. I suspect most people, if they really thought about it, go watch the show Waiting, and then you'd probably rather have a robot who's never going to drop your hamburger patty and it's never going to do anything weird to it, doesn't have any body hair, or get pissed because his girlfriend robot is a weirdo, right? Who cares about that? If that kid can then go get a job, or not get a job, but do something civic, do something religious, do something sports, do something in a community service project where they go out and help other social ills, then we free up human beings at a point in their life when they're going to gain skills, either apprenticing or being part of a larger thing, and then go develop something else with their life. So I don't think AI and bringing robots in to do menial stuff dooms us to some kind of like Orwellian 1984 Fahrenheit 451 European bullshit because they live under oppression. Their future is always fucking horrible. Let's look at futures from science fiction writers in the United States, where it's individuals who understand the value of a free individual, and you get Star Trek and you get some really cool futures. That's where robots bring us, I think. You get a bunch of people that don't have idle time and hate each other. You get people that have idle time and help each other. And our country, who would normally help every other country, has more ability to do so.
Well, I think that there's an argument to be made that the reason that socialism has always failed in the past is because all of the labor was done by humans who then had to share the benefits of that, you know. And so basically how it works is a minority of people do a lot of work, and then a lot of people sit around and do nothing, right? And then when it comes time to like share the spoils of a few people working and a lot of people doing nothing, a lot of people don't have enough stuff, be it food or cars or whatever. And the society eventually breaks down because that's a systemic problem that continues and continues. If enough of our production of goods and food and services was performed by robots to the point where that 10% of people who want to work and like to work and want to have a job are able to have a job, and the other 90% who don't want to, you know, do that kind of thing are able to go do art projects or whatever, then yeah, it can work at that point. But we're not to that point yet, and transitioning to that point is dicey. Do you ever think, oh, sorry, I was just going to say, do you ever think that's why they might be coming so hard for our guns right now? right? I mean, living in a socialist society where you don't have the freedom that you would in a free society, guns are something you don't want in the hands of people who might disagree with what you want for them.
Oh yeah, when well, there's multiple reasons they're going for our guns. I think one reason they're going for them right now is because they're losing the grasp at any ability they had to manipulate, at least in the massive numbers they had before. And I think they're having to go all out in lots of directions, and I think that's an indication of that. But yeah, I mean, as far as like a social change, I believe that the overall goal of getting rid of firearms is the distrust of your neighbor. It's the lack of individual freedom and responsibility and liberty being a value. They want to discourage that and instead put value in the state. And your contribution to the state is what is valued. And anything that you're going to do to show your own individuality or your own ability, or anything that gives you like casual indifference to what your neighbor's doing, that doesn't work with the people that worship state, right? The state needs to control everything.
And they won't let you have anything cool like black powder rifles. I mean, black powder revolvers, just because. I mean, why not?
So, Gary, where are you at on all this?
He loves the robots.
Robots.
Well,
Can your job
I
be
mean,
replaced by
it's
robots or
a
AI?
necessary. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So I was just going to start it off with, can your job be replaced by robots or AI? AI can
A lot
answer.
of it already. A lot of it already has been. I mean, our people at work, for example, do have a method of resetting their own password if they can answer security questions and stuff like that, where before they'd have to call and we'd have to do it. So a lot of what we have done over the years, yeah, has been replaced by automation, but it's never completely going to be replaced as long as the computers that serve men aren't perfect, and as long as they break down or the humans that interact with them break down in their interface. You're going to need tech support. There's always going to, I think there'll always have to be some humans involved there.
That's what's scary. So think about everything that, let's say you're in a call center, right? So somebody who's getting some amount of questions to the point where it's worthwhile to have human beings answer the phone and answer questions for other human beings. Those, a lot of times, if the call center is large enough, they'll have some kind of automated system that they all chat in, sort of, here's the question that came in and here's the answer. Or a lot of times they'll even say, here's the questions that typically come in and here's the answers we'd like you to use. You know, they'll be kind of a two-way interface. So imagine AI comes along, Superbrain comes along and just says, well, I know every single question that's ever been asked. And as they come in, I know that adds to every single question that's ever been asked. And since I know every single answer that's ever been answered, and depending on how incorporated the AI is, they could say, and since I know every single time this specific customer has had an interaction with this company, here's how you answer it. And then sometimes you need a human to, that gets displayed to a human who interacts, but now they're creating these like AI, cartoon things that do the actual interface too. And that's even how doctors, like say the paralegal, a lot of stuff that required the human to figure out where to find the answer and give it to them, or retain a bunch of answers to do it quickly. AI just makes that all disappear.
Well, I was reading about this medical pod thing that they pretty much invented. They had a prototype of it anyway, where you sit in it and it takes your blood pressure and reads, like a whole bunch of stuff and takes a blood sample and does an X-ray and another scan and basically tells you everything that's wrong with you. And it costs virtually nothing per person to put a person in there. Like if you had a pod.
They have an app that does it with your retina. They look at your eye, and from your blood vessels in your eye can tell almost everything about your health from there.
So basically the cost of seeing a doctor would be almost nothing if that was the doctor, and it would just, but then the medical industry and everybody's fighting against it, and, lobbyists and the government, yada, yada, yada. You'll never see a pod in America. Not for a long time anyway.
I don't know. Those are diagnosis pods, and that's the whole concept, though, is to get rid of all the stuff that used to take the time. So if you can go into a pod and it can say it's probably this, but it might be this and this, then a trained generalist can just come in and say, oh, it's not this, it's this, or maybe it's this. So here's the treatment.
Or
So
if your
now
kid,
there is a fail safe, but now this, I'm not advocating all this. I was anti AI until I watched this movie, but this movie would suggest that then you don't need doctor specialists anymore. You don't need somebody who's a specialist of this and that, because the data exists and it gets contributed to. So now you just need generalized knowledge to come in and verify that the AI gave you the right answer and follow through. So yeah, you take your medical staff of a hospital down to like, 10%. And
right, you still
so
need
what you're talking about a
surgeons
pod
and-
would not necessarily be like a Star Trek thing where you sit in it and you come out healed, but you sit in it, get an accurate diagnosis, and they don't need any of those other things that they used to need.
or like the whole pharmacy, like you don't need people for that. You would just have your whatever prescription show up at the pharmacy, or it would just be at the same pod. It would just pop pills out for you on the way out of the pod.
You can already do prescriptions by mail, and like next day mail, or especially Amazon airdrop crap and all that stuff that's going on. I mean, you wouldn't even have to go to a pharmacy or anything else. You would get in the pod, it would diagnose you. Somebody would read it, go, yep, this is right, you need this medication. All of that would be automated, and by the time you get home, your medication is sitting on your doorstep.
Yeah, like the cost of seeing a doctor and having a problem is astronomical if you don't have insurance. The cost of getting an actual degree in education is astronomical if you do it the traditional way and pay the money. Like, there's a lot of things that are set up to make the fat cats fatter, like those who are in the positions of power of whatever it is, whatever institution it is, and they're going to hang on to that power as long as they can. And the AI technology, the robot, labor replacing machines threaten their hierarchy.
Nah, that's like saying that think of the power and influence that the horse breeders and the stable men and the leather harness manufacturers and the wagon wheel industry, and there's forests being harvested to make spokes for wagon wheels to drag around behind horses. And then what happened? A motorcycle, electric car, petroleum, and fuck all of that shit. So yeah, I hear you, but you can look at it like they're there to keep us down, or that's just the way that it accumulated back in the day when that's the way stuff had to accumulate. But
well, look
that when you can take when you can have what am I trying to say? You can have the free market create a device that can look through literally all of medical history and all of your medical history, and with a robot brain spit out 2 or 3 pretty much dead on suggestions, and then you can go to a clinic and have a generally trained person say, yep, AI is correct here, take 2 of these and call me in the morning. And you take medical in the what am I trying to say, like the actual what's the word, in the free market, you take medical costs from extraordinary to low, then you don't have the need for government health care, when all of a sudden you can go up to a 7-Eleven and get diagnosed in a pod and have a pretty good idea what you need to get done. Hospitals can go back to breaking bone or fixing bones and stuff like that. So yes, there's big infrastructures, but they fall as soon as something better comes along.
If it was a free market, I would agree with you, but we do not have a free market. And it's kind of like slavery back in the day, right? Like there were...
Hold on. All right, somebody else get it on this. Am I crazy that labor-saving devices are going to happen, or is he correct that infrastructure and bureaucracy and tradition is going to stifle the evolution?
I'm saying it's going to fight against it, not that it's not going to happen.
You just said it was going to take forever and blah, blah, blah. And I'm saying it's
no, that's not what I was saying at all. I was making a comparison to slavery and how back in the slave days, they would protect their investment, which was in a whole bunch of people, by not investing in labor-saving devices. Why would you have labor-saving devices if that makes your capital worth less?
Well, that's not entirely accurate. There was many people that bought, farm implements and farm equipment and things of the day that made their workers even more proficient.
Yeah,
So,
but
I mean,
if you took a combine and showed them, here's a combine that will get all of the corn for you, right?
Uh-huh.
And you don't have to have people anymore do it for you. A lot of them would say, "Fuck, f that." You know, I have 100 people already. I don't need a combine. That's all I'm saying.
yeah, but once you see the efficiency of it, because
And
look at
eventually it will. You're
look
right.
at the difference
Eventually it
between
will.
when it affects the bottom line, it affects the bottom line. And when, a little bit of fuel and a few oil changes, as opposed to, feeding an army and medical care for an army. And then look at the, like I said, the sheer efficiency of the combine compared to that army.
Plus the speed
I
of
don't
what
know.
you could get things done. You couldn't hire enough people to
Exactly.
do it that fast.
No, absolutely not.
What we're agreeing on end state, right? Like, I don't disagree with you that the like what you think is going to happen is going to happen. What I'm disagreeing with, or I guess trying to bring to light, is that transition in between, right? That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, well, there's no doubt. There's, with anything, there's going to be people, we can chalk it up and just generalize this with people don't like change. We don't got to put anybody in a box of socialism or, they're greedy or anything else. I mean, it's look at human nature. I mean, it's human nature to not like change. So there's obviously going to be those that buck the tide. At the end of the day, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how you stop technology. Short of an extinction level event of some kind. I don't know how you stop technology.
I don't think you do. What was it? I forget the sabotage, where that word comes from. It's the wooden shoes of whatever workers they were, and they threw their shoes into the looms, so that because the looms were taking their jobs.
Right. Yep.
Yep. I think it goes back to does somebody else owe you, or is it up to you to do, and do you have an opportunity to do? And Europe sits around suckling off of either we're the boss of you, so deal with it, or you can worship me. I don't know. They're weird over there, right? They like to be part of a commune, and if it's just point whatever it is, and they go after it. Where over here, a bunch of people said, hey, I don't like living like this. I'm gonna go all the way across the water over there and live where I can do my own thing. And then enough people came over here that there's like groups of people that do their own thing, and we hang out with each other and then collectively do our own thing. That's the difference, right? Like, our government comes from that, and their government comes from like, what should be given to me? Like, what should I not have to do? What should somebody else have to do?
We're heading that way, though.
Just because people want to push it that way doesn't mean that's the way it's going.
There's a lot of people pushing it that way.
Yeah, there's more people that are not, though.
I hope you're right.
Well, again, I suspect if they were a sure thing, then we wouldn't hear much on the news. They'd just be sitting back comfortably with a smug look on their face and their feet up on the ottoman, laughing at us, chuckling. They really like to be sarcastic and snide. So if there was nothing to worry about, the antis, who tend to be all those other things, would be sitting there chuckling right now. Instead, they're running around acting like the same thing they did when Hillary was bound to win. So I'm not suggesting it's time to lay back at all. But I don't think you look at somebody who's your opponent and take them for their worth. You understand their history and their tactics, and then you look at what they're giving you right now. And when they're trying to make 16-year-olds vote, that's not a tactic of someone who's confident in the results, right?
Right. Well, it's a matter of perspective, right? I mean, think about it for a minute. Let's say you've got an Egyptian pyramid, right? You've got something that massive. And on one side, you've got 20,000 people. On the other side, you've got 20,000 people, right? Well, depending on your perspective, depending on where you're looking, you either see the people pushing on one side, the people pushing on the other side, or what's being pushed. So it's a matter of focus. In other words, if you were behind the people on the left, you would only see the people on the left. If you were, you know, if you step back from the entire situation, you would see everything that's going on. And then the same goes even for our side with the pro gun side, where we want to speak in an echo chamber a lot of times, and we're really comfortable that way, but we're not really accomplishing anything. And we're on the right side of that, looking at everybody that's pushing that direction. And neither one of those two extremes, I don't think is a healthy perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone's been in their own echo chambers, and I think that's an effect of the algorithms that exist within YouTube or Google or what, you know.
Yeah.
And so you end up watching the people that you like, and the people that you like end up watching you, and the people that you don't like don't watch you, and you don't watch their stuff. And so you get like this confusion of language, right? Where like a person will say a sentence, and to you and me, it will mean one thing. And then to someone who is in another bubble, it might mean something completely different. So even though we're listening to the same person talk and say the same sentence at the same time, we're diametrically opposed as to what we're hearing.
Yeah.
So we're set up to conflict. And I think that's designed. I don't think that's by accident.
Well, it is, and that's why we have to be very careful about language.
Well, they're making it so you can't use language to express yourself, because anything that you say that is thinking.
Whoa! Hang on a minute, and maybe you misspoke, but when you're expressing yourself, you got to be careful with that. We're talking about, you know, if you're talking about a situation, you know, where you're debating a morality or a right, or, you know, anything that's rooted in truth and fact, then you got to be real careful about. I don't know. It just, I don't know. It seems like that's more of an emotional response. And I mean, choice of words. I mean, it may be case in point here.
Well, what I'm saying is that because the things that I say, okay, so like, let's say I'm having a conversation with someone publicly, right? And I'm exploring a thought that I don't quite have. It's kind of, I've got 1 foot in order and 1 foot in chaos. And, you know, I kind of have this piece, but I'm trying to figure this piece out. And I'm using language to explore that piece that I don't understand. In doing so, there are things that I don't understand. And I might say a word that offends somebody. And then in the climate today, saying the wrong thing at the wrong time will get you excommunicated from the group, right? Like you were no longer allowed to converse, or allowed to have public discourse. Right. That's where we're at. And that's why I'm saying that you can't talk about things.
I don't know. I mean, I think we can. I think more than getting, you know, being excommunicated from anything is you're dismissed. I think is, you know, where it's ignored. It shuts down conversation before it begins. A lot of times, if you have a what's the best way to put it? If you have an ill-tempered rhetoric, or, you know, I don't even know how you would, you know, how would you go about describing that, but
you're crass.
Maybe. I mean, yeah, I don't know. But, you know, the thing is, words mean things. And you know, what you're talking about, again, you look at that perspective and you look at that focus. The people that are going to get butt hurt, basically, over certain words are the ones pushing against you for the most part. The people in the middle, if that language you're using is truthful, correct language, and you're using it, particularly if you're using it in the context of education, then you know, I just feel the majority of people are gonna understand that, and if it makes sense, then those people are going to understand that. So the hate you're going to get is from the pushback, and at that point, who cares? Because it doesn't matter what you say, you're never going to get them to jump over on your side and push the opposite direction.
Right. That's the propaganda, though. Like anytime, I feel like a good way to tell if someone's been propagandized is when they won't listen to something, right? If there's a subject that you won't listen about, something that someone starts talking to you about, and you shut down and don't listen to what they're saying, then I believe that there's been propaganda that's been placed upon you in your life. You know, there's examples of that anyway that I could come up with. What is that?
I was just showing Armament how to use the private messages on gun channels.
Oh.
We use a robotic system, an AI.
It's a robot chicken, isn't it?
It's a robot.
All right, so Armament is some sort of a truck driver, one of them meat bags that still drives trucks around dangerously until we get the AI to run. So eventually he'll jump in here, I think, and this is his point of view on that. But to butter us up, so that show I was watching, I'm pretty sure, I'm looking at my browsing history on Amazon Prime, and I'm pretty sure it's called The AI Race, and it's got this robot eating his own thumb on the cover. And I also watched this thing called The Google and the World Brain, which is pretty crazy and scary. But then I also watched something called Mobile Gold, which was about recycling the precious metals out of cell phones and the massive amounts of potential there. And that gets into I guess mining, you could say, urban mining, they call it, or something, going into dumps and remining some of the stuff. So there's some really neat stuff on Amazon. But this AI race is all about the AI. And as soon as I watched that thing about Google and how Google basically scanned every book and then got in trouble for scanning every book and then pushed that into their AI and nobody cared. Once I started figuring out that AIs are actually doing stuff out there right now, I started watching this AI race. And that's a pretty interesting one. And it talked about all these different jobs. And that's where I was talking about a lot of these information gathering jobs are just going to disappear quickly. And those are going to be in all kinds of fields. But they also talked about vehicles. And they already have, I guess, what are they called? Like where the docks, where the boats come in, the big ocean liners come in. And like that's all robotic. Like there's not even people except to monitor and maintain. Like there's just a bunch of robots like pulling those cargo containers and driving them around, putting them on trains. So they're taking that and putting it into trucks. And they've already got like Uber cars and shit like that. But the main thing was these trucks. And the trucks will, what do they call when they put like 6 trucks together in like a real tight convoy and they computer like connect them together. So now they're in this like each other's slipstream. So according to this show, basically the highways will eventually just be AI, and meat bags will be able to drive around on side streets, but highways will be for robot takeover, sort of like in some sci-fi movie or something. So
hey Daily, I made it. Finally found the link. I didn't know you sent it on the G website, but you know, I drive for a living. Been doing it for 20 years now. I honestly, I don't know if I can see AI taking over. It would have to be so intertwined to the point of everything senses everything that I don't know.
And it was weird because they would show like a person, they would interview different people from different occupations and then show the percentage of their jobs that are going to get taken by AI. And truckers was like one of the top at 44%. And it's because of the highways. So, you know, they talked about, they had a bunch of people like yourself who are actual drivers. And they're like, what the hell are you talking about? And then these people that were I don't know, if they either worked for the car companies or they're just scientists that were super AI friendly or whatever. But they were like, oh, have you ever driven one of these cars with, I don't know what these things are called, but I guess new cars already have some of the like radar and like anti-collision stuff in them.
Yeah.
I guess we're already driving with AI. So I don't know. Have you guys driven in any of these cars that have any of that stuff?
Yep.
Have you seen some of the new commercials where the cars will stop you if you're texting because you're not paying attention? I'm like, why are you driving then? Really?
Like, so the car knows or something, like it can tell.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, you know, as a professional driver, it's like, you're driving, pay attention, get off your phone, don't do stupid stuff. You see what I'm saying? It's like an AI is supposed to just take over and you can just sit back in the back seat and text and let your car drive you. Don't get too reliant on technology. That's all I'm saying.
Teslas will do that already. I think that's what the one that you're talking about, that if you're texting and driving, it'll pull over, or if it sees like you're coming up on a stopped car, it'll stop you before you hit the car, like stuff like that.
Like it won't let you have accidents, they say, and like some cars won't let you even pull out, like drive off the highway, right? They'll see the lines and keep you on the road.
Right, and if you start pulling off like if you fall asleep in a Tesla, it will notice that you fell asleep and pull you over to the side of the road.
The commercial I seen was not a Tesla. It was, I don't know, I can't remember what commercial it was. It was some girl. She's like, "Oh, I'm texting on my phone and I almost ran a stop sign and my car stopped."
I'm sure there's other car companies doing the same thing, but the ones that I saw were the Tesla ones.
Well, I think the BMWs and Mercedes and stuff already have some kind of collision stuff in them, and those avoidance. I don't know what they're called, radars or something.
Yeah, I was actually reading about how cars can be, with AI, with like the auto driving, can be hacked too, potentially.
Oh yeah.
It's like if the government, or if like somebody who had the ability and want and motive to like come after you, they could put something, I don't know how they do it, into your car, and then they would have control over it at whatever time they choose, So like when you're going 80 miles an hour down the highway, they'll just put you into oncoming traffic or whatever, That's scary. They don't have those in 80s Hondas, do they?
Not that I'm aware of.
Well, we're good over here then.
All right. Well, we brought that from talking about Cheryl Todd's advocacy and the chat that we had earlier with her. Second hour of a 2-hour chat that spanned over a month. Took us, we did one about a month apart from each other, and then chatted a bit about that AI situation. What do you guys think about the mining cell phones? Seems pretty lucrative. They had like giant chunks of gold that they had.
I did that with computers for a while, and it was a very dangerous thing doing it yourself. And
yeah, it's super toxic, right?
And yeah, it really was.
But
and then I found an equipment. I mean, I guess electronics recycler, I should say, down in Houston, and
right.
So I would just collect all my stuff and then collect it all and then take it to him, and for what he paid, he was obviously making bank, but for what he paid for it, it was, I just kind of passed it all down the line, took a cut, because it was time involved and potentially dangerous to try to do that kind of crap yourself. But
from what I understand, like you say, it could potentially be dangerous, but it's not like a wasteful thing. Like they're able to recycle the chemicals and stuff, and when they're doing it legit, like they get 99% of the stuff out of there.
Right.
So yeah, so there's definitely, it seems like there's definitely some potential there if you're trying to fund something to get into old electronics and pull metals out of them.
Yeah, it's got to be for computers and stuff. It's got to be older stuff. Now with cell phones, that's not necessarily the case. The ratio of precious metals in the cell phones is still fairly high. Has been for the longest, but with computers, I would say since probably the very early 2000s or something, that's when you started seeing a really significant dip in the precious metals inside those.
I can say this: copper is getting to the precious metals level. So copper is getting harder and harder.
I've got a 5-gallon jug that I keep full of pennies, old pennies. And that's one of the reasons why.
Yeah, well, it's
worth more. It's worth more. That stupid penny is worth more as copper than it is as a penny.
Exactly.
How crazy is that?
That's why the U.S. government started making zinc pennies and copper coating them, because an actual copper penny was worth about 5 cents. And Clover, Well, just make sure you melt it down and mash it however you can, because you cannot turn it in for copper scrap as a
You can't
penny.
now. You can't
Not
now. Anyway.
now. I know nothing. I know nothing. I'm Schultz. I know nothing.
Right.
Did you know? Did you know that the zinc pennies that they make now cost 10 cents per penny to make?
I did not know that.
Me. It doesn't surprise me.
Yeah,
One bit.
that's weird.
It has to cost something. So yeah.
Yeah, and they're worth like less than a penny.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Honestly, though, copper has that, man. It's really getting to the precious metal part, and when bad guys are going into houses and stealing copper pipes just because new build houses and just to get the copper. I'm like, wow, is that like the next gold? I don't know.
Gold is still more rare, and it always will be.
How much is gold an ounce? Like 1,600?
No, I don't even know now. I don't know.
It goes up and down so much. All the precious metals do.
Yeah. I was buying gold and silver. I knew it was going to go up, and I was buying it. I don't know, early mid 2000s, something like that. I got into acquiring gold and silver, and I haven't done any since. So it's too expensive.
It's 1,300 per ounce right now.
Yeah. See, I was buying gold at 300, 250, 300 an ounce.
Wow. I was buying it. It was like 400.
Yep.
Hey,
Yep.
E-Honda, please change the picture. I don't want to see man boobs.
You did.
Well, that's why you're seeing my beautiful blue face right now.
Yeah, you did look pretty blue.
Or purple.
Yeah, it's purplish blue. What's that all about?
Well, the lighting in my little office here isn't very good, so I jerry-rigged a flashlight to illuminate things a little bit, but the high setting's too high, and the LED blue light is about the right level of light, so that's what I went
So
with.
you're illuminated with a flashlight. That's interesting.
It's a nice flashlight.
Well, what kind of flashlight is it?
It's the one that you can buy over on Never Enough Ammo's Amazon store.
Okay.
He wants to use his Amazon store. My Amazon store is way better than it.
Well, do you have the same flashlight? You should add it on. It's the here. Let me look at it.
Well, the fun part about Amazon stores is it's just really adding a cookie to your browser. So anytime you enter Amazon from someone's link, feel free to shop for whatever it is. If they happen to link you to one specific thing, that's great. But if you enter a page from someone's Amazon link and it's just a random Amazon page, you can always navigate to whatever it is you might want, and they're still going to get credit for it.
Hey, what do you all know about oh, that's cool. What do you all know? I had a friend of mine saying you could affiliate link on Amazon doing this, and this. What do you all know about that?
So Amazon is an online store, and they sell. They're a distributor, so it's not like they're just a manufacturer of one item. They distribute anybody's stuff, right? So everybody knows what Amazon is. So you can either go to Amazon and just use it as a store, or you can interact with Amazon as let's say, an advertiser for them. So they recognize when you bring someone to them, and then they want to reciprocate, so they pay you. That's the gist of it, is you're going to bring people to Amazon to shop, and then they're going to say thank you by paying you. And it's a very small portion. It's of all the different ways there are to make money on the internet, it's one of the least, the least return. It's about 4% on average, Clover? 4?
Yeah.
It's pretty low. So, but the thing is, a lot of people use Amazon. So is that what you were asking?
Yeah, I think it was Richard Hughes, hangs out on Hank Strange. He's been on Clover's thing a lot. He said something to me. We were talking, and he's like, "You ever think about doing a Amazon affiliate?" And I'm like, "What's that?" And he kind of explained it to me, but yeah, you just kind of nailed it. I don't know.
You basically just go to Amazon. Most people already have an Amazon account if you've ever bought anything there, and then it's just adding something to your account. So it's sort of like if you have a Gmail and you also have a YouTube account, they're both Google accounts. So it's going to be kind of the same relationship. You'll have an Amazon, is it called a seller account? and then it'll just give you this. I can show you actually. So if you look at my screen, if I just go to Amazon, it adds this toolbar to the top. So let's say that for some reason you wanted
I saw Iron Man. That was cool.
Let's say you wanted this shoe or whatever. If for some reason I wanted to show the shoe, right? I can click on this little text link, and I could grab this link and drop it out here. And then anybody, or maybe I put this on a blog post, or I put this on my gun streamer video that I posted or something. And then anybody who clicks on this link and buys something from there, somewhere in this code is a little cookie. And now they've, whatever this thing costs, let's say it costs $14. What did that give me? 15 cents or something? Like,
yeah. So you get a piece of the pie if you do that.
A little piece. Yeah. So it gives you some
Okay.
incentive, and it gives you a quick way. I kind of like it because it gives you such a quick little link, right? If I was doing something like on gun channels, I had a gun channels channel. See, this is a bad one because it doesn't give me an image. But if I pick some other product, I might be able to get an image in the little blurb that they're going to give me. So I would take this code and I would get this little image. So if I had a website, I could even post a little image over there that talks about the shoe or something. Maybe I'm doing an article on or whatever. Here's some shoes that somebody.
And important to remember too that you don't just make money off of the item that brings them in.
Correct.
But the cookies, as long as the cookie is valid, you know, everything that they shop, put in the cart, and buy, you will get a cut of.
So now I'm not me, right? I'm somebody else. I go over to Gun Channels and I think, hey, I want to buy something on Amazon and I want Gun Channels to get a cut. So you click on this and it happens to take you to my patch, right? But that's not what you're looking for. So you jump over here and you look for hard drive because that's what you were looking for. And then you always search for highest to lowest because you don't care about money, because what the hell is money? So then you grab this $84 hard drive and then buy it. Like Clover said, somewhere in here there's a cookie on my computer now. Because you came from Gun Channels last, Gun Channels will get whatever the $5 cut of this is, or 5% cut, I should say.
Yeah.
So how much cut do you get? I'm just I'm new to. I don't know how all this affiliate stuff works. That's why I was asking. I'm like, can I make money? You know, my buddy said try this, and I'm like, okay, how does it work? But yeah.
So now tomorrow I go on my computer and my laptop breaks, so I need to go on and buy this $300 laptop. Because whatever the last cookie I used was, whoever that last cookie was is going to get a cut of this $300 laptop. And that's the real icing on the cake for Amazon. So you can send people directly to stuff, but then potentially whatever they buy on Amazon, you might get a cut of. And every once in a while, somebody buys like a wash machine or something really expensive.
So you're telling me that anybody that has that cookie is going to get a cut?
Well, they're going to contribute. You're going to get a cut. But here's the thing. It's a giant game. You know, if it was easy, everybody'd be playing, right? So let's say they go to your site today and they get that cookie and they go to Amazon, but they're not ready to buy, you know, they have to ask their wife or whatever. And then tomorrow they go to somebody else's site and then they go to Clover's site. And then they're like, oh, I'm going to go buy that thing now. The wife said it's okay. They go to Amazon from Clover's site. Clover's going to get that cut.
Well, they don't have to go from my site if they were on my site last and click that link for some reason.
Okay, yeah, exactly. So it's kind of a game, and you're kind of playing past the cookies quite a bit. But if you're playing the game, at least you got your cookies out there playing the game.
I like that. Past the cookies.
Pass the cookie.
Well, we're kind of playing.
I just curious, like I said,
there are sons of bitches out there that will fuck with this shit. I mean, there are.
Oh yeah.
Out there that
Like I said, I had a friend mention, did you ever try affiliate link with Amazon? I'm like, and it was Richard Hughes. I'm sure you might have seen him in some of the chats, but and he's like, did you ever try this? And I'm like, oh, where you what?
Now,
so I've never done it. I'm just asking.
It's lately I have heard from people that it's fairly difficult to become an affiliate.
It's not as easy as it was just like before. You could almost just ask.
Yeah, and we've got to have a website. They want to see a website and a lot of other things, I think, now. But, I mean, that's with anything. When you get more and more people jumping on board, they need to – I don't know at the end of the day what they care, but maybe it just bogs down their system or something, having inactive affiliates.
So, yeah, I've got a question, G. I have just recently got the ability to live stream on YouTube, and I was wondering how one might go about setting up some sort of a weekly show on gun websites that I then, simulcast to gun websites and YouTube. Like, what's the process there?
Gun Websites is a YouTube channel, and
Or I guess gun channels too.
2004, right? So Gun Channels, the community platform or whatever. So I'll screen share. You already have an account over there or whatever. You're logged in over there.
Yep.
Oh, I have to pick the screen first. All right. So anybody that's logged into Gun Channels, this is what you're going to see when you log in is the main news feed. So click channels up at the top here, and then there'll be a button here that says create new group, and then give it a name, give it a whatever you want the URL to be, and then click that thing. I guess it'll tell you if it's available. Give it some tags, put it in the appropriate category, whatever, give it a picture. When you click create, it'll create a new group in the channels, and then you can kind of build it out how you want. It's WYSIWYG, what you see is what you get. So you can build it to be a channel for a live chat like a lot of people do. You can build it to be a store. We just had a gun shop from California log in, so they're probably going to set it up to be an advertisement for their store. You can have it on an area of interest or a competition, or a group or an organization that you belong to or want to promote. So anything you want to do with it, and then it'll just be incorporated in there. And then if you're going the route of a live show, you'll just embed your video. So grab the video, embed it in there, like you've seen on the other channels that they're doing that. And then as far as the chat room, as soon as you start doing a show on any kind of regular basis, we'll set up a chat room and you can have your own text and everything.
Nice, man. Yeah, that's something I do want to.
Specific questions, ask me, Night Strike, others that hang out a lot. Most everybody will jump in a chat, either off air or in a live chat, and show you what to do on a screen share.
Yeah, thanks, man. I really appreciate it.
So Clover, I don't know if you've seen that question that was out there.
Yeah, I did. It's going to be the last cookie before the money changes hands, unfortunately.
But in other words, you can put a bunch of stuff. That's what he was asking, though, right? Like, let's say you get a bunch of stuff in your cart. You save up a bunch of stuff until you can actually afford to buy some stuff on Amazon. Then it's just wherever you tag last, and then everything in your cart's going to them.
Yeah, if you go through, so let's say you click through GunTube. You click through GunTube, and you're searching, and you're like, well, okay, I need to, whatever, you're buying something to build something or make something or supplies like you would do, right? And you're like, oh, well, I need this, and I need this, and I need this. And you're like, well, but you're not getting paid. You're like, well, I don't get paid till Friday, and it's Monday, let's say. But I'm going to go ahead and start browsing and put that in my cart and put this in my cart. And then let's say Thursday, you put $1,000 worth of crap in there, right? And then Thursday night, you click on my link for whatever reason, and you don't even do anything. Let's say you just click on my link, and then the next time you just go to Amazon.com, let's say, then my link, you clicking on my link would have activated my cookie. So then you go in and you add 2 or 3 more things. Yeah, I get every bit of it. And that kind of sucks, but there's not individual tracking per item. I am so lost on all this stuff. I'm, like I said, man, somebody said, "Yo, try that." I really want different. It's no different, dude, than you got a local gun shop, and you tell a buddy in that local gun shop says, "Hey, AA, for every customer you send in here that buys something, I'm going to give you 2% of the sale." So you tell your buddy at work or whatever, "Hey, man, go down there at that gun shop," and he goes down there and buys something, right?
Better yet, the gun shop scribbles a name on the back of a business card that he puts on the back of their armament, right? And then he says, anytime you give this to somebody and they give it to me during the sale, I'm going to give you 2%. I'm going to give them 10%.
There you go.
And now here's the thing. Now 6 other people go in there and get that same agreement. And now it's like you want to make sure they're using your card and not that other guy's card.
Right.
Yep.
I get it.
Anyway, and like we're saying, it's obviously it's a little more involved than that. They've been doing it for years, and there's certainly people that do this as a living, 100%, and they make good money at it. And then there's people that dabble, that like make poker money doing it or something. There's probably people that make, you know, like a good second income, and then there's people, you know, just fart around with it.
Right.
But I think it's
really
a skill to have. It's an interesting tool, and it shows you how to work platforms and how to, you know, to understand the concepts of stuff, and you do get paid. So unlike some of the platforms where your only satisfaction is a large subscriber number, or unless you got real good alternative funding, you know, sources, like you don't really get much out of playing on some of the other platforms. Playing on Amazon, I mean, you get money at the end of it.
Right. And there's a couple of things I'll add to that. The first is that there's another aspect of it too, is when you get the influencer store. So that's pretty cool. And that's basically, you don't have to send people through those links. You can just put items in your quote unquote influencer store and just send people over there. Now what I use that for is I use that for items that I own or have owned. So are all in the influencer store. That way, if you're curious about what I have owned or do own, then you can go look over that stuff. And then there was another thing too that I was thinking about. Dang it. What was the other thing I was thinking? You were talking there, G. Dang.
Clover, I thought you lost everything in a boating accident.
A different way to use Amazon, or are you talking about with the business cards?
It was about a different way to use it or whatever. And I can't. I remember with the affiliate marketing, and not just Amazon, but no matter where you might be affiliate marketing at, but particularly with Amazon, since Amazon they don't deal in guns, and there's very few gun related products really on there as a whole. About the only way really that you could do well on Amazon, unless you just got a really big following and, you know, social media presence and can push that out, is to pimp other things. It really is. And with Facebook and social media, it's pretty easy to do that. Amazon gives you certain tools. You can go in and see like the best selling items and stuff. And oftentimes what I'll do is I'll go in and I'll take like something that's really interesting that I see. It may be a best selling item, or it may be new to Amazon or something like that. Requires a little bit of homework a lot of times. But I'll go in and I'll take an item like that that's really interesting more than anything. And I'll share that across social media. And I'm like, hey, check this out. Isn't this cool? And then the next thing you know, people have clicked on it just simply because it looks cool and they want to check it out, right? It's not like they're going to buy that. But then it sets the cookie. And then the next thing you know, they're buying stuff.
You said there's not a lot of gun related stuff on Amazon. I'm not going to argue with you, but there's a lot of gun related stuff on Amazon. It's just not labeled gun related. You can buy scopes, rings, blah blah blah. You know what I'm saying?
Compared to shoes and clothes and knickknacks and all
yeah, right, exactly.
No, there's not.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's so much crap that.
As a matter of fact, and I know this for a fact because, especially with writing for Gear Report, they really want you to put those affiliate links and stuff in your reviews. So oftentimes I don't have any other way to get an affiliate link because they're not the affiliate network I'm with. That company may not be with that network. So a lot of times I'll go to Amazon. It's like, okay, I'll just go pull an Amazon affiliate link, and I'll go there, and even firearm industry companies, they'll have some products on Amazon, but what's really weird is they won't. Like, you can get magazine base pads for the Ruger pistol, but they don't have them for the Buckmark. It's like, what's up with this? Or Popov Leather is one that was really weird. They've got a whole line of products, but if you go to Amazon, there's like 4 that's on Amazon. So
because Amazon's a super pain in the butt. So I can tell you, I sell stuff on Amazon.
Well, there you go.
It costs $3.45 period, and then there's shipping and other stuff. So with a patch, I mean, I'm losing money every time I sell a patch on Amazon. I just do it because I value the giant platform that Amazon is, and I want to have some familiarity with it as a consultant. And, you know, eventually I'll figure out, you know, I'll have a product that has quantity and cost. You need that sweet spot. I think it's like $70 or something to really sell something on Amazon and make money. But that's probably 17 whole other discussions. That's like a whole other podcast on selling stuff on Amazon, the world's largest online store, right?
Now, does that fee change depending on the volume, the how big you are, anything like that?
Maybe. And I don't want to suggest I'm an expert. I'm just saying my insight is, yeah, it's cut an arm and a leg.
Because you've got to think it.
Imagine
you've got to think it has to.
$25, like they're doing it to be on Amazon, and they imagine like any manufacturer. You got your owner of the business, and then maybe a couple of people in the office, and then you got some people. You know, they don't have like extra people running around to just spend money all over the place. And if their shipping department is shipping out orders and stuff, like they don't have extra people to send stuff to Amazon and manage inventory over there. So unless they're like really rocking and rolling with some sort of a real easy commodity, look into the Amazon structure. It's a giant thing. So just like anything, there's good and bad. And we know people on gun channels that do stuff heavily on Amazon. And let's say you have something that has a power cord and a remote control in the device, and you send 100 of them to Amazon, and they sell 50 of them, and everybody's happy, except one guy needs a remote control. They're just going to grab a remote control out of one of the ones you have in inventory, send it to the guy, right? And then either throw the rest of it away or charge you to get it back. It's like a pain in the butt. So having stuff on Amazon, if you have something relatively easy, like I have a patch in a bag, so far they haven't, you know, destroyed that or ruined it or anything. But I've heard real good and bad stories about using Amazon. So I can imagine a company that's got a $26 holster that might have a couple of parts or something. And the people that work, or the robots that work in a factory, if they're tasked with going in and pulling parts out, the nightmare madness of, you know, oh, I didn't know it was a left-handed inside the waistband. It just looked like any other holster to me. And now the next 3 people are getting the wrong. I mean, can you imagine with a holster?
All right. Yeah.
2 things. Daily, I love your patch 45 microphone, and E-Honda is showing Gorn. So, yeah, the whole Amazon, yeah, there's some Gorn. The whole Amazon thing, man, I don't know, man. I'm, like I said, I got to research it a little more and do what I can. And yeah, I probably won't make crap off of it, but hey, show us some more of that Gorn, buddy. What is that? It? Yeah, that's Gorn. What is it?
It's my Anderson lower built. Got a echo trigger in it. Little cheap.
I see no step on snack. I see no.
Yep, no. I got that too on the Anderson lower. Little cheap red dot, 40 round mag, ready to rock.
Gorn.
All right, so I just threw out that link to the gun channel site inside here. I'm trying to figure out, there's another way to use Amazon as a wish list, and that might be interesting, especially for, I don't know, something like Mike, right? He's always trying to help the cops do the training or something. Having something like is it called a gi or whatever the uniform is? You know, having something like that available as a wish list item so that they can, you know, put up there the person's size, and then just whoever comes along can buy it. And I'm not sure how it works, but I suspect that there's probably a way for people to contribute towards an expensive item, right, on the Amazon system. Yeah. So as somebody who's maybe working for a project or trying to do a fundraising, or maybe working for an organization or working on a fundraising project, there's probably some potential with Amazon with, like say with wish list, like instead of having to raise money and then buy stuff, where you can just have, sort of like when there's a wedding or something, right? Where you have the list registry. Sure. Now, somebody asked on the gun channel side, DTP was asking, do you think when you use Amazon Smile, it cancels out the affiliate links? Have you ever looked into that?
If you use what now?
Amazon Smile. So if you use Amazon Smile, it's basically donating 10% of your purchase to a nonprofit, whatever.
Yeah, I don't think you can use the two together. It says that in the FAQ.
Okay. Yeah. And that's another neat thing about Amazon is that if you just, you know, it's neat to know that a lot of individual efforts out there are using Amazon as a funding source, but very few of them are supporting themselves on it. It's definitely a trickle icing on the cake, if it's even more like sprinkled sugar on powdered sugar maybe on the cake. But those smile things, that's 2% cash money going to organizations, probably tax-free, right? Because it's nonprofits. That's probably pretty useful, I'm guessing, for some of those organizations. So check out, if you want to check that out, go use Green Beret Foundation out of San Antonio. That's a great one. They're in there. And then that way you can test it out, buy something expensive and use theirs for the Amazon Smile. I think it's just like eBay too, right? It'll let you decide how much you want to, like if you want it to be 10% or 15% or 20% or something. Pants is saying Gun Owners of America is also on Amazon Smile.
Yeah, it is.
Guy is saying FPC. Is that on Amazon Smile?
I'd have to
That would be
look.
cool. I wouldn't be surprised if Gun Owners is there. I would imagine FPC could figure it out.
Interesting. Yeah.
No, that's not my store. That's a wish list. I was saying I was going to try to do a thing where if somebody wanted to see something, then here's the crap. Like if you want to see me do something with this $7 thing, here's the $7 thing. Imagine doing like a toy unboxing type of channel, or like a kind of channel where, I don't know, I saw a channel one time that was probably pretty successful with those little quadcopters that are small and fit in your hand. They're like the size of a pack of cigarettes.
Right.
And, you know, they cost like maybe $20. This guy had a channel where he basically bought everyone he could get his hands on and did a review. So now anybody who was ever making a purchase decision had a video. It was pretty decent of him running around in his big like living room that he had that was perfect for running around a little tiny little hover thingy like that. And of course, everyone had a link to Amazon, right? So that had to be ideal. I'm thinking something like a project like that, or, you know, I don't know, name the goofy thing that they sell on Amazon that people might be interested in. You could just say, here's the wish list. If you want to see me on my channel, open this up and do what I do to it, then buy it and send it to me. So, you know, it'd be great for an organization. I know a dog kitten rescue that is has a wish list so people can buy the various stuff that they need, right? So that they don't have to take money and buy it. People can just buy the cat food or whatever and buy it right on Amazon. It just automatically gets shipped to the shelter. So I'm thinking there's, you know, ways to play with the wish list or whatever. And then you're also doing this all on Amazon. So if you're creating a channel, let's say for that example, little toy helicopters, you know, that's all linking back and forth to your YouTube. YouTube loves that stuff. And it's when it's not guns, they super love it.
Second Amendment Foundation is on there. Also, the Firearms Policy Foundation, which is the funding arm, I think, of FPC, is on there also.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I just looked.
Okay.
How does that work with the Google thing and YouTube if it's gun related stuff, right? So like, let's say you are buying stuff off of Amazon, like a handguard, right? And you do an unboxing video of the handguard for an AR-15 and it has a link.
I wouldn't do that on YouTube. That's a TOS violation at this point.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's entirely too risky.
No, but if you want to fund a project, buy a bunch of $20 toys and do an unboxing, and then every 5 do some sort of a comparison, post those once a week and have a thing go for a few months, create a wish list, let people buy the $20 toys and send them to you, and do something interesting, smash them at the end, burn them with a laser, melt them with kerosene, I don't know, do something that makes little kids go, I'm going to spend $7 on this thing. And then what, you get the 70 cents because they bought it for you. You get the content for the next view. And then if 12 kids buy the little helicopter or the little thing you're smashing, then you got $7 instead of 70 cents. And then spend all your free time that you're not spending smashing little toys on fighting for the Second Amendment. Kicking the crap out of Bloomberg's money.
There you go.
You have a laser that can melt toys?
I have a laser that can light cigarettes, yeah.
I got a light. I got a flashlight that probably could light cigarettes. But yeah, anyway. Oh, by the way, Clover, who was it? He's saying something about leprechauns out there. 7 Wonders. He says you should link every leprechaun type thing you can find on Amazon.
You could literally have a page, and it wouldn't cost them much more than, you know, an afternoon or whatever, a couple hours of farting around, put some clever stuff on there, a little bobblehead. And it doesn't have to be for the people that consume his content, because he's created a place on the internet, a shelf that has all these links. And if he puts a couple of effort in, or minutes of effort into the tags on that page, the internet will find it. And since it goes along with his page, it probably would be advantageous, right? But yeah, somebody will just be searching the internet for like leprechaun bobbleheads, and they'll find it, click on that, and what does he care? How much does it cost you after you built that thing for it to exist forever?
€0. On the big scale, or at scale, I should say, nothing.
Yeah, I mean, so that'd be a neat thing. It's just that, you know, at some point you also want to have time to just watch TV or something too. But these are all ideas, and pursue as many of them as you can.
Hey, Clover, you know, they can call you leprechaun all they want, but if it gets you views, if it gets you subs, if it gets you, that's good to me. I know you. I'm getting it. You call yourself a leprechaun. Yeah, whatever. You know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so then we've been going for a bit, probably longer than normal show, but it was a good chat. So thanks everybody for joining in. We still got 20 people out of here. I hate to kick everybody out, but can't keep going forever. So Gary, thanks for jumping in right at the beginning. Clover for helping me figure out what the hell was going on with these things.
You bet.
Honda Armament, thanks for jumping in, keeping the show going. And yeah, we had some pretty neat discussions. Tomorrow is Thursday, so we've got, is Sarge tomorrow, or is he Saturday now? Are any of them out there anymore?
I think he's Saturday this week. I'm not 100% sure, but I think so.
So the Aren't You Glad It Ain't Sunday show is going to be on, and then Yankee is tomorrow, so that means Matt's tomorrow. Clover, you got a show tomorrow?
Kind of Morris Nerd Chat.
You got a topic I should have said?
Not currently, no.
And then we'll be back for this one. I've got some stuff going up on the store, so anybody that's interested in buying stuff at our store, which is even better than Amazon because Amazon sucks butt, go check out gearwebsites.com.
I'm just gonna say happy spring. Thank God